Hi, Amy with Fashion Toppings and AJ's Vintage Designs here, and I'm gonna do a little Christmas holiday project. Now, you all know I'm so into flannels right now. Flannels and denim, I live in them, and my projects have been a lot of flannels lately, but I wanted to show you this little home decor. My little flannel Christmas tree. See how cute that is? I love it. I'm gonna show you how quick and easy it is to make these. Now, I made a wreath. You can do this, you don't have to do this with a Christmas tree or a holiday tree. You can do it with a wreath. You can do it with a candle holder. There are so many different options, and I'm gonna show you how easy it is and how inexpensive it is as well. I did this one. This is 1/2 of a medium flannel shirt that my son outgrew. That's just half of the flannel shirt. So it's 2 sleeves and 1 front panel of the shirt is all it took to make this little rag holiday tree. And I like to use flannel, and the reason I like to use flannel and denim, I'm gonna do one in denim too, but today I'm gonna be using flannel, is that the fabric is the same on one side as it is on the other. That's really important, because you'll see when we make this that if your fabric is like faded and not pretty on one side, I mean, it'll still work, but you're gonna see, so you see the inside and you see the outside. So I like to use flannel because flannel has the same texture on both sides. And so on denim, you have your lighter outside or your lighter inside and then your darker color blue outside. You can do it with that too, because then it gives some contrast and it is pretty cool. But like I said, flannel's the easiest thing to work with. Like I said, it's finished on both sides. I get these little styrofoam cones, but I also, I prefer the green, the one that you use for putting plants in. It holds up a little bit better and it's easier to work with, but they didn't have the cones with the green planters styrofoam. But when I make a wreath, I use the green ones. And you probably know what I mean. If you go to Walmart and look at all the styrofoam, they have a green one for making wreaths and different shape ones, but they also have the white. White was the only thing that came in the shape of a Christmas tree or a holiday tree. So, I'm gonna be showing you how to do this, and what I've done is I've cut out my flannel, and I have like 80 squares that are 3x3s. But you can cut them any size you want, and you don't have to even pre-measure them. I just cut. And then when I got to a smaller piece of fabric, I actually made some smaller ones for when we get right to the base of the tree, because there's not that much styrofoam in there. And when I show you how to do it, it'll make sense. But we don't want to break the styrofoam on the top. So I just made some smaller ones that are about, and I eyeballed this. I didn't even measure them. These are 2x2s. So they're a little bit smaller, but you don't have to be precise. You can have fun with it. Okay, when I made this one, I used a paintbrush. And you're gonna see what I'm talking about. I use a very thin paintbrush, but it is easier to use. This is a skewer. And these are for like shish kebabs. You can get them in the meat department at your grocery store. They're like shish kebab skewers, and they're pointed at the tip. They're kind of sharp. So these actually work better, but I didn't have them on hand when I was making the other one. And I cut my fabric with pinking shears. If you don't know what pinking shears are, they're the jagged edge scissors, and that keeps your fabric from fraying. Now when I do my denim one, I won't use pinking shears because I want it to fray. But this gives you that little, you see that? That little jagged edge. And that'll keep it from fraying. So what we're gonna do, I like to start from the bottom and work my way up. We take our little flannel square here, and right in the center, we're gonna put our little stick, and we're going to wrap our fabric around it. And then simple as this. We're gonna just shove this in to the styrofoam, just like that. Now this is gonna be a lot of work, because this is a bigger one than what I did here. So I'm gonna get this started, and then I'll be fast forwarding through it. Once you get the idea of it, just put my stick right on the center. And if you're not this one's folded up a little bit. If it's not exactly the center, that's okay. It just means you're gonna have more of a raggedy edge. And you go right next to it, not too close. I'm gonna show you how close I get. Okay, so I'm gonna use the flat side, not the pointy side of the stick, because it actually poked through this fabric. My other flannel is a little bit sturdier. Okay, so I want you to see how far apart these are. See that? So I'm going about every inch. I just wanna make sure we don't see the styrofoam, but if you put them too close together, then you're gonna have one big giant hole and then they might fall out. So make sure there's a little bit of space in between each one and kind of fluff it out. This will help it last longer. So I'm gonna do it again. And actually my paintbrush did work pretty good yesterday. I'm gonna save the skewer for when I get up to the top. So I'm gonna put it over my paintbrush. Like I said, this is what I used yesterday. And I go about an inch away and shove it in. See where we're going with this? Okay, I'm just gonna keep going. This is a good project to sit there and do while you're watching TV. And I'm just gonna keep going around. Pretty easy concept, huh? Okay, so I'm gonna keep going all the way around the base. Each one is about an inch apart from each other. And then once I get around the base and around the bottom, I'm gonna keep working my way up. Okay. I'll fast forward it so you can see what I'm doing and you won't get bored. Okay, stick with me here. Okay, so I cut some more squares, and some are big, some are 3 inches, some are 2 inches. I just guessed as I went, because you don't have to be exact with this. Just keep pressing them in. See, I'm pressing them in with the end of the paintbrush and pulling the paintbrush out. No glue required. Okay, and as you get closer up to the top, I'm gonna use the little bit smaller ones because I don't want you to have to sit here and watch this entire thing. But when you get up here to the top and you're pushing fabric in, it's gonna get weaker and weaker as you get up here. So that's when I'm gonna be switching over and using something a little bit thinner to push it in, just so I'm not making such a big hole and pushing the fabric in, because you have to be very delicate with the top when you're pressing your fabric in so you don't bust the top off. And I made these, I made a wreath out of these, doing the same concept, like a little rag leaf, or it's hard to say, rag wreath, for my mom for Christmas probably about 26 years ago. And I saw all this flannel that I had and all these flannel shirts sitting around, and I'm doing so many flannel projects. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna make a flannel tree. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep working. I'm working my way up to the top so you can kind of see what it's gonna look like. And then I'll come back at the end and show you the finished product. But like I said, I mean, this is easy. These squares, they stick together. They're easy. They're just tiny little squares. I use the pinking shears so they don't fray, and just shoving them into the styrofoam. That's all there is to it. Okay, I'll be back when I get up towards the top a little bit so you can see how I do the top. I'm just pushing them in there. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going up here, but let's say you have one that's too long. Right there, see how this one's just a little bit longer than all the rest? And let's say I wanna clean that up a little bit. All I would do is take my stick and push it in. See, now it's not sticking out as being extra long anymore. You can just use your stick to push those back in. Almost done here. Okay, I'm gonna fast forward through the rest because you guys get the idea. Using, like I said, breaking off the tip of this shish kebab stick makes it easier, so I'm not gonna break the top of my styrofoam because it's gonna get more brittle the farther up to the top you get. I'm gonna go straight up to the top so you can see that. the closer you get to the tip, the more chance you have of breaking the tip. Just make sure you have a space between each one of your pieces of fabric. You don't want to accidentally punch a hole too close to where you already have a piece of fabric punched through a hole, because then it'll be too big and then your fabric's gonna fall out. So just make sure that you're keeping a little bit of distance. See, that's a little long, so I'm just using my stick and shoving in the corners. Okay. There we go. I accidentally pulled it out with it. Okay. And on the top, I go straight down to the center. Okay, see how I'm doing that top right there? I'm gonna start from the top and work my way down too. Okay, switching this angle so I had more light. It's getting a little bit dark. Of course, I started this project right before it started to go dark. Okay, so as you can see, I'm filling that in. But as you go to the top, you just go over, the top. Okay, and my squares, I do have some scraps that are pretty tiny that I'm gonna be using to fill in gaps. And where'd my stick go? There we go. Okay. Just gonna finish this up real quick. Just shove them in. See, and that's not even a square, that's a rectangle. That's okay, I'm gonna use it anyway. So I'll just shove it in there. And if it has a long, see that little long edge right there? I'm gonna take my stick and shorten it up. That's all there is to it. It also helps to fill in some of the gaps. Fill in that gap. Okay. I'm loving how this is turning out. This is gonna look so cute next to my blue one. Almost there. These smaller ones that just are easy to put in. I just poke them in. I'm loving it. Look at that. Isn't that cute? It actually, the red makes it look like there's flowers. I got that little section up there yet to do. And like I said, I just eyeball it. That one was too big, so I've got a bunch of the big leftovers. I didn't realize I cut them and they were sitting behind my tablecloth here. So that one's a bigger one, so I'm just gonna tack it in. But no glue required for this project. There's another little scrap. It doesn't matter what size you're doing. See, oops, see how tiny that one is? Yeah. Put that on the top. Another little tiny one. Let's find a hole. There we go. Now I'm just using little scraps. These are all little scrap pieces that I have trimmed off. They're really small, so I'm just filling in all the little gaps at the top. Let me find another little scrap. That one has a frayed edge. So don't worry about measuring. Just have fun with this and just, there we go. Okay. I'm loving it. See, this one has mostly 2x2s and then some 3x, you can see the difference. See how nice and tight the 2x2s? I mean, this is nice and thick. So the 2x2s at the top, and then from here on down are the 3x3s. You can just see it's just a little bit more fluffy. Okay, this one here, especially when you see them side by side. See this blue one's fluffier. That is because, let me show you close up. I did mostly 3x3s. Ever so often there's some shorter ones in here, the 2x2s. I mixed them together, but I did the 3x3s almost all the way to the top and then just filled in little holes and areas with the 2x2 squares. So, I'm loving it. Okay, well there you go, my little flannel Christmas trees. I can't wait to put these on my dining room table. There'll be a beautiful little setting piece, especially with my farmhouse style that I have in my house. But there's blue flannel and there's the red flannel. Just a couple tips with this project. Just make sure, like I told you, that your fabric, it looks best if your fabric is the same on both sides, which flannel, denim, those all are great, even though denim is different on one side than the other, but both sides are kind of pretty. But just make sure that you keep aware when you're picking out your fabric that both sides are gonna show, because when you pinch it like this to poke it into the styrofoam, you're seeing the outside, but you're also seeing the inside. So keep that in mind. Get yourself some shish kebab sticks from your meat department at the grocery store. Break off the sharp, really sharp tip, because that will poke through the fabric. But this is a nice size for pushing your fabric in. If you don't have that, then use the tip of a paintbrush, just like that. Okay, and then pinking shears are the scissors that have the jagged edge that will keep your fabric from fraying. And then you also have that cute, I don't know if you can see this, but the cute little edges from the pinking shears even gives it more of a country feel. So pinking shears, shish kebab sticks, a paintbrush, fabric, and if you want to measure, you can. Like I said, I eyeballed everything. None of my squares are the same size. I just eyeballed everything. So, but primarily they're 3x3 and 2x2s. And you can just mix them up however you want. Next one I'm gonna work on is one with a very thin denim. I think that'd be kind of cool as a contrast for this little collection for my dining room. But I'll get these pictures staged and I'll be posting them on my Facebook page at AJ's Vintage Designs. And this is Amy with AJ's Vintage Designs and Fashion Toppings. And don't forget, if you haven't already, subscribe and click on that little bell so you get notified each and every time I do a new video. I do fabric crafts, some sewing, crafting, painting, furniture painting, a little bit of everything here. So make sure you subscribe and click on that little bell so you get notified when a new video comes up. Okay, well until next time, I hope you have a great day.